In this tutorial, we're going to take a look at fuel economy and how you use it to calculate amounts of fuel needed to go a certain distance or how far you can go in a certain amount of gas. And this is one of my videos in the series I'm going to call Math You Can Use Every Day. And so I'm going to start with a Canadian example, then we'll talk about a more American one too. In Canada, since we use the metric system, fuel economy is measured in liters to go 100 kilometers. So when I say 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers, that's telling me how much gas it takes to drive 100 kilometers. And of course, the reason for 100 is a nice, easy number to work with. And so that's why it's liters per 100 kilometers. So the question is, how much gas is needed to drive 400 kilometers? Well, this fuel economy says we're going to take 8.5 liters for every 100 we're driving. If you're driving 400 of them, then that's 400 is 4 100s. Of course, I can take my calculator here and go 400 divided by 100. So that's where I'm getting the 4 from. There are 4 100s in 400. So what I would do then, I would take my 8.5 liters here and multiply it by 4, and that gives me 34 liters. So I would use 34 liters of gas to drive 400 kilometers. Now, if it was a different number besides something in even hundreds, so I'm going to do the same kind of thing here. So if I take this and divide it by 100, I want to find out how many hundreds are in 620 kilometers. So, and I'll show you a shortcut for that. 100. So it's 6.2. So you're actually moving when you divide by 100, you're moving the decimal 2 places. Right here, it's right here right now. So we go 1, 2. So that's why it's 6.2. So we're going to take this 8.5 and multiply it by 6.2. And we should use, well, I'm going to just round it. Instead of 52.7, I'm going to round it to 53. Just round up to the nearest liter. So it would take about 53 liters of gas. Now, if that's your average, if the terrain's hilly, if it's colder, if it's rough roads, then maybe your fuel economy isn't going to be exactly 8.5, but that's just an average. Now, here's a little larger example. So let's say your gas tank holds 75 liters of gas. You got a full tank. So let's say your fuel economy in this vehicle is now 6.3 liters per 100 kilometers. It's better. Because it takes less gas to go 100 kilometers. So the question is, how far can you drive on a full tank of gas? So what we want to do, since for every 100 kilometers, we use 6.3 liters. We want to figure out how many 6.3s there are in 75. So I'm going to show you 2 ways to do this. So we're going to take the 75 and divide it by 6.3, because for every 6.3 liters, we're going to go 100 kilometers. So that works out to 11.9. So that 11.9 is 11.9 hundredths. So if we want to find the actual distance, we would multiply that by 100. So to run the tank dry, you're going to go 1,190 kilometers, so close to 1,200 kilometers on a full tank of gas. Personally, I wouldn't drive 1,190 and chance it that it's going to run out just a kilometer or 2 before the service station, but that's theoretically what you should be able to drive. Now, if you were in a math class, you might solve this a little bit differently, but I'll show you how it is the same thing. You see, this is the rate at which the fuel is used. It's 6.3 liters per 100 kilometers. So notice I have my fuel on top and the distance, kilometers, on the bottom. Equals, and so I put my full tank of gas, 75 liters, on top here, just like the 6.3 liters was on top here, and the distance on the bottom. So to solve for x here, we do something called cross multiplying. 100 times 75 and then divide by 6.3 will give us the x here. And this is actually the same calculation. See, there's the 75 divided by 6.3, and it really doesn't matter if you multiply by 100 before or after, you will still get 1190. So here's a more American example in using the imperial system, or the U.S. Weights and measures system. Fuel economy is measured in miles per gallon. So instead of amount of gas to go a certain distance, it's actually how far in distance you can go for every gallon of gas. And there's advantages to both of these. Some calculations are easier one way than the other, and vice versa. So the question is, first question is, how much gas is needed to drive 200 miles? So you see, I'm going to use, I'm going to go 31 miles for every gallon. So we really want to figure out how many 31 mile like groups there are in 200 miles. So how many 31s are there in 200? And because for each of those, we're going to use 1 gallon of gas. So that's why we would divide 200 by 31 to give us 6.5. So that SUV would use about 6.5 or 6.5 gallons of gas. Now, one more example here. I'm going to do a gas tank one like we did the metric one over here. So let's say your gas tank holds 40 US gallons of gas and your truck gets 18 miles per gallon. The question is, same as over here, how far can you drive on a full tank of gas? Now, the miles per gallon is makes this calculation a little bit simpler than what we did over here, because if it's written in miles per gallon, 18 miles per gallon, for every gallon of gas you have, you're going to drive 18 miles. Well, we have 40 gallons of gas. So for every one of those 40 gallons of gas, we're going to get to drive 18 miles. So that's why we would multiply the fuel economy rate by the number of gallons of gas we have, and that truck should be able to drive about 720 miles. So that's how you would calculate the distance that tank should get you. Again, be safe. Don't drive 720. Fill up maybe a little before you get to 700. You'll probably see that light coming on saying that you're getting low on gas, but keep it safe. Now, I've got several of these videos. If you have an idea for another video, like math you use every day, then leave a comment in the comment section, a suggestion, and if it's something I think will benefit enough people, I'll make a video about it. And that's it for this one. Thanks for watching.